guys, it's Nolan. It's about 6 o'clock PM here in the UK on the 5th of July 2022. We hope you are really well. Let's have a little look at what's been happening today. We've had a really bullish USD, US dollar today. You can see the daily candle here, and this is a little bit of a surprise actually, because we were expecting some correction on the dollar index. If you look at Mark's video yesterday, you know, we talk about, or Mark talks about, the divergence here on the MACD, which is basically a difference with what price is doing and what the MACD is doing. So here we're seeing a high and a higher high. Here we're seeing a high and a lower high, indicating there's a potential weakness there. But we've actually broken this high today. Looking at the weekly is probably the best way to look at this. Look on the weekly with some moving averages on there as well. If you know me, I like my moving averages. So yeah, we've had this correction into this 8 moving average, morning star pattern, and we've started impulsing to the upside. Now, one thing I did earlier was, because I am still looking, and I think Mark is too, still looking for this to top out, if you like, and potentially, if you look at the monthly, have a correction. It's for me, it's really overextended on the monthly from this 8 moving average. You know, just like anything, I'd expect it to come back and you know, come back into that zone. A big move there. Look, comes back and tests the 8 on several occasions. You know, here comes back and tests the 8, etc, etc. But it's just normal kind of cyclicity in the market, nothing special. So I would be expecting a correction at some point. Now, when you look at the weekly, if you apply a fib, if I apply a fib from on the last impulse, so if you looked at this impulse here, it corrects and the lowest point is here, so that is the end of the correction, and then the impulse starts again. Then it impulses all the way up to this high here, then it corrects, then we see the next impulse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a fib from the start of this impulse here to the end of the impulse here. Okay, and we can see that price corrected back into a 50% retracement of this impulse. Started to make a move, as you can see, started to impulse, and you know, first target really for this would be the minus 27% fib extension, so about 106.991. We may as well really call that, I would say, you know, 107 thereabouts. So something interesting could happen at 107. Who knows? We might see that correction take place, or a correction. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, the market does what it does. We can just try and anticipate. You know, we have a tough thing to do, really, because we've got to basically tell the future. Quite difficult to do a lot of the time, but we can only go by what we are, the price action and the candles that we are given. At the moment, you know, very bullish. But when you look at the bigger picture, you would expect some top to take place, and then a correction to I would suggest back towards this 8 moving average on the monthly, but we shall see. But yeah, 107 could be very interesting to see if we get some form of selling on the US dollar. We do have non-farm payroll at the end of the week, if I am correct. Yes, normally it's on the first Friday of each month, unless that Friday happens to be the first of the month, and then I think it happens on the Friday afterwards. So we've definitely got non-farm this Friday. Maybe something will happen there, who knows. So yeah, maybe a little bit more strength here on the US dollar. When it gets to 107, things could get interesting. Now, market that we traded today, in fact we put a trade out on it yesterday, was USD CAD. Now, what we were looking at, I've actually deleted the info, but we were looking at this so head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and if I just draw that out for you, we've got a neckline there, I'll just mark that out. Let's clone that. So we've got a left shoulder, we've got a head, and we've got a right shoulder. Price broke out and then formed a corrective pattern, or bullish, bearish flag pattern, and then broke out. And yeah, we had a sell limit. It was around about 128.8, something like that. Can't quite remember the. You know what? I will have a little look for you. Yeah, 128.820 was a sell limit. There, and we had the stop above this swing high here, so you probably know what happens next. But I'm just going to put it in 129.740, and we had several targets. One of 1 to 1, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, etc., etc. So we had targets all the way down here because we were looking at this bigger structure to play out, basically, and price to push down into the bottom of structure. Yeah, so we got to about, let's see, excuse the messages there. I will just turn those off. Cool. But yeah, we were about, let's see, you know, at best about, I don't know, yeah, 44 pips in profit. We'll call it 40 pips in profit on that one at one point. It's looking very, very nice. And literally, with that USD strength, the market just reversed and took us out. And yeah, it's come back to test these highs. Look, support, resistance, and potentially resistance again here. So, you know, this is the importance of having stop losses in. I know it's very tempting for some traders to not have a stop loss. Well, if you didn't have a stop loss on here, a 92 pip stop loss, you'd be over 192 pips down. So over, if you're risking 1%, you're now over 2% down. So, you know, that's the importance of having stop losses. But delete this now. Interesting place now, because we are at resistance, which is now being tested for a third time. So, you know, we've got dollar index approaching that 107, which could possibly be a little place to see some correction. But yeah, this is a really, really sharp move, really sharp move. So watch it anyway. The thing is about this, we're at the top of structure pretty much. If I just show you, I'm going to delete this for a second. I'm going to delete this thing in a second. I'm going to make it a little bit more simple. Okay, so if we connect these highs here, you know, we're at the top of structure, we're at resistance. Obviously, price could break out of here. You know, there's nothing to say that that couldn't happen, but we would be looking for signs of sellers coming in. So potentially you could look for, I would suggest, you know, a 4-hour evening star maybe. This was a moving evening star pattern here, 1, 2, 3, which would have led to some downside there. Another one here, 1, 2, 3. Now, I wouldn't use this one as the first candle because, well, you could do actually, but it's such a big candle. But you could, yeah, this could be candle 1. Candle 2 is this one, which is just opened. That would close at 10 p.m. tonight, and then the third one would close at 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. So not the ideal time to close if you are trading in the UK, because you're probably going to be in bed. But yeah, you could have a little look for an evening star pattern here and potentially sell that, because we would sell an evening star pattern at resistance, and that's where we are at the moment. So keep your eyes on that. We could see some downside on USD CAD. One trade that did work out for us today was silver, and this is something we actually put into our watch list on Sunday and sent out to our traders. I'll just bring, I'll bring over the spreadsheet actually, which is this one. This is basically the original PowerPoint presentation which we sent out. But silver, looking for, you can see this is on the 4-hour, potential move down into our zone of interest. So if I just click on here, we've got a zone of interest where we've seen buyers come in, we've seen sellers come in. So this is a zone of support, zone of resistance. This is on the monthly time frame, guys. So it's around about between 18.5 and 19 if you start looking at some of these lows and some of these highs. It's around about 18.5 to 19. That zone could be a very interesting zone to buy because silver has traditionally a very, very good month in July. Approximately, we'll call it 5% growth on average during July. It also has a bullish month in August as well, but not as big as July. So if you can get into any buys in July, it might be worth getting into them, holding them throughout July and potentially August as well. Now that's called seasonality. Doesn't always play out, but on average, silver will or has made on average 5% gains during July. So looking for buyers, we sent this out. Potentially our zone of interest is down here, so potentially we can see the movement is downside. So we're looking for a correction, sell setup into the zone, and then potentially start to see bars come in, change of cycle, maybe an inverse head and shoulder pattern, higher low, and then go. So we were looking for this trade here from the correction and looking for a sell setup. So that happened today with, I'll just take these moving averages off, but that was basically a correction towards this trend line here. That's what we saw. We saw that correction, and then we saw this inverse, sorry, we saw this evening star pattern. Now I sent the trade out, but basically I use moving averages. That is no secret whatsoever, and this was the perfect setup, absolutely perfect, because you've got the daily, which is bearish, and then you've got the 4-hour, which is bearish, and you're looking for that bearish continuation. And here we get the bullish candle 1, candle 2, candle 3 bearish, having interacted with the 20 moving average and closed below the 8 moving average. That's what I look for. So sell stop below this candle here, candle 3, stop above the high. And yeah, we've got our zone down here, but we weren't greedy. We just had a 1-to-1 target and a 2-to-1 target. Can't remember exactly where the targets were exactly and the entries, but it was a sell stop below this candle, stop above the high, and as you can see, made a very, very nice 2-to-1. So we lost out on dollar CAD. We lost one trade there. 1% or whatever the risk was of each trader, but then we made this 2-to-1 trade here. So that was good. So yeah, 1-1, lost 1, but obviously made money overall, which is really really one of the secrets to trading, because you're absolutely 100%, guys, you're going to have losing trades. The object is to make more money than you lose, basically. Okay, and that is you take that, you do that, if you like, by, I would say, not over trading, okay, and taking high probability trading setups. It's been very, very patient. This silver trade was a typical high probability setup. The daily is bearish, and all we've done is we've dropped down to the lower time frame, the 4-hour, seeing the sell setup, so, trading in the direction of the higher time frame, and boom, that it just hit target in the same day, which is absolutely perfect. So that is what I would call a high probability setup. And when I saw it setting up, well, I was waiting for it anyway because of what we sent out in the watch list. But when it set up, boom, straight on it. That trade setup was sent out to all the guys. I think I actually sent it out just before the candle closed, just so they were ready to go. So yeah, so now I'm just gonna leave this one now. It could have a little bit more to go, but Maybe if I see another correction, 4-hour correction, and I get a sell setup, I'll look at that. But really, you know, looking for this to go with the monthly seasonality now and start to change cycle and trend. So keep your eyes out on silver. Aussie USD, literally everything's been weak against USD. USD and JPY have actually been the strongest markets. USD is the strongest. Euro been the weakest, and you know, pretty much else everything weak as well. Now, interesting zone here. Resistance, sorry, support. I always get those confused. Don't know why. Been trading many years. Support. Now, obviously, we could break out. But we're potentially going to see some sellers on the dollar, potentially. Remember, go back to the beginning of the video, looking at 107 as a potential place where we could see sellers come in. We have support here. Now, you could obviously anticipate longs because we're at support. So you could let, this is today's candle, you could let today play out. Sorry, this is the 4-hour candle. I do apologize. Let me just go to the daily. Yeah. You could let this 4-hour candle play out, and it closes in 3 hours 40 minutes, doesn't it? 10 p.m. UK. You could look for a morning star pattern. Now, what I would be looking for is, and all I've done is I've used my fibs. I've gone from the top of this candle here to the bottom of this candle there. Now, this candle here would have to have a bullish close above the 50% range. If it does, that would be a valid morning star pattern. And for me, you could potentially then look for a long. If you imagine the candle closed up there, you'd be looking at a buy setup. And I'd just be looking at, you know, 1-to-1, putting it to break even at that point, and potentially a 2-to-1. Alternatively, you know, if you're not going to be able to do that, then you could. If you thought that, yeah, price is going to have a little bounce from here, you could place a buy stop above that bearish candle there. And again, you'd be looking for a 1-to-1 as a first target, and you might be able to squeeze a 2-to-1. Don't know, you know, really, but that possibly could happen. Our target is underneath this trend line, so you know, either way, that's good. Price obviously could break this trend line and we could start to go bullish, but at the moment it's bearish, so it's good that our targets are underneath this trend line. So have a little look at that. See how this candle closes at 10 o'clock tonight. So basically when the daily candle is closed and the new one forms, we could get a morning star pattern here, and you could have a little think about having a little buy setup on there. Euro CAD, big surprise, broke this level. Obviously, this is what I said earlier. You know, we have resistance and support zones. They're not, and they never will be 100%. They can break, and if they do, I'm not a fan of breakout trading. I will let them break, and then I will look for a correction and then a trading setup personally. Now, we could be seeing a setup on Euro CAD. Now, this is a daily candle. You can see it had a big old push down. It's closing, or the price action at the moment is quite high up now. So we've had a lot of sellers come in, but buyers are obviously there as well. Now, what I would say is, if you drop down to the hourly, in fact, we will, have I synced this over? Let me just check. Right, if I just get rid of that, and we'll use this one, we'll sync it over, and we'll use this chart here. I'm just going to swap these over, guys. So that one's over here. Yep, cool. And I'm going to put my 1 hourly moving averages on. So we've had a breakout, and we've had a pullback into the moving averages. Okay, so for me, this could actually still produce a setup. If a setup to sell, that is, if we see an evening star pattern around here. We've started interacting, and we have interacted with the 20 moving average. I'd want to see that evening star pattern with a close below this 8 moving average now. If we do, then that is potentially a sell setup. Okay, because we could see a continuation down. So it's I'll be watching the smaller time frames. Obviously, depending on how late it gets, I might not see anything. But at the moment, it's in an interesting place where the market's going to decide, well, is this going to be a false break, or are we going to see further downside? So keep your eyes out on here. We could get an evening star pattern. Important for me that evening star pattern closes below the 8 moving average, and the moving averages are all in the correct order, which they are at the moment. So just keep your eyes on that one. I think that's about it actually. What have I done? Yeah, dollar, CAD, silver, Aussie, Euro, CAD. Yeah, so potential short on here if we get a sell setup. Okay, if Aussie USD, look for a morning star pattern, or end of day traders may want to look for a buy stop above this candle, anticipating that this support is going to hold for a second time and we're going to see some upside. Silver, I'm waiting now. I'm just going to, if it drops down a little bit further, I'm going to let it drop down. But this zone here, big zone. July is normally or traditionally a good month for silver. So I'm looking out for buys now. Dollar CAD, potential look for an evening star pattern on H4, look for a short. And dollar index, yeah, potentially coming up to touch at 107, and then we might see some sellers come in. We will see. The market does what it does at the end of the day, and like I say, our job is to try and tell the future, a little bit of crystal ball future telling. But I hope all that made sense, guys. If you've got any questions, just drop them into the comments. Please give the video a like if you don't mind. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That'd be brilliant. And if you know any other traders that might like the content that we are putting out, then please share this video and any other videos with them, and also give them the link to our YouTube channel. That'd be absolutely fantastic. So from me and the team, we will see you in the next video. Safe trading and have a great rest of your evening. Bye.